In less than 24 hours at the time of recording of this video, Hollow Knight Silksong will be in our hands. And many people throughout the internet and journalists are praising Team Cherry for pricing this game at only $20. And some have even gone as far as to crunch some numbers, saying that adjusted for inflation, Hollow Knight Silksong is only 11 cents more expensive than its predecessor. Well, since you brought up inflation, let's get busy into it, alright? Everybody gave Nintendo a hard time over Mario Kart World for charging $80 for this game. Sure, there were plenty of defenders, but for the most part, people said, Nintendo, why? You're moving things in the wrong direction. You're making games more expensive. Well, if you want to adjust that game for inflation, we got to be fair to it. You know, if we're gonna give Hollow Knight Silksong the inflation pass, then we need to do it for Nintendo and their games. $60 in March 2017, when the Switch 1 launched, is now equal to $79.50. So Nintendo is only charging us about 49 cents more than what we were paying for in the past. Another thing to calculate is just how much more expensive it is compared to each other, like without inflation. Mario Kart World is 33% more expensive than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But you do that same math for Hollow Knight Silksong, it is also 33% more expensive than its predecessor. So Nintendo and Team Cherry have done the exact same math on how much they decided to increase their price. A lot of people also like to give Nintendo a hard time for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still being $60 since its release, with very few price drops. But let's not forget that Team Cherry has done that exact same thing with Hollow Knight. It is still $15 like it was in its launch 8 years ago. And not only that, both games have included all their DLC for free. You know, everything that you got on the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, all the DLC you had to pay for, well, that all gets bundled in for free on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch. And then they ended up giving us even more updates, and then also, if you wanted to, you could pay $20 more for more tracks. And Nintendo's done this actually for a lot of their games, where they decided, hey, we know this is a great game, but the Wii U itself was a failure, so let's port this game to the Switch with all of its deluxe content for no additional cost. And I think that's a great thing to do. One of my favorite games of all time was Batman Arkham City. You could buy the base game when it launched for $60, and then later on they put out all the DLC if you wanted to pay for, and then sometime later you could buy the Game of the Year edition, where all of that was bundled in for free, like no additional charge. So both Nintendo and Team Cherry have been doing basically the same thing that so many companies have been doing for years. So there's no way that they're equal on those grounds. They're both equal on those grounds of your DLC is free. Now, another thing that we need to address about both of these companies is that Nintendo has so many more people on their paycheck. They have over 8,000 people that they are paying to make their games, to run their company, to process HR, things like that. And as the years have gone by, they've just, for the most part, progressively been getting bigger. They're willing to hire more people on, so more people can enjoy the benefits and the pay that comes from making and selling these video games. But Team Cherry, it's been the same three guys since the first game. Like, it's no wonder why this new game took forever to make, because they just stuck to the same three guys. And yet, the first game sold over 15 million copies, so you gotta think at about $15 per game, that's $225 million right there. I'm sure they had to pay Unity for their engine. I'm sure there's other kinds of costs associated with it, but for three guys to make that much revenue, it's massive. So I don't get what the deal is of why they weren't willing to expand. They probably could have had Silksong out a couple years quicker if they'd only so much as doubled their development team. Another thing that we need to consider is that Mario Kart World is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, so yeah, it's $80. It probably took more people and more time to make that game than your typical other Mario Kart games, because they're pioneering a new generation of Nintendo hardware. So to be the first game to do that, that's quite the challenge. You got to hook people into this next generation of a console, and so yeah, I get why they charged $80 for this, because it probably took way more effort than ever before. But as for Hollow Knight Silksong, well, it's still coming out on the base Switch. So we're basically getting a Nintendo Switch game at 33% more cost than the previous game, which was also at base a Nintendo Switch game. The Team Cherry has also put out, hey, Hollow Knight Silksong is getting a free upgrade pack for Switch 2, but I'm wondering, what is that upgrade pack? Like, what are they actually adding to make this game any better? Because you look at Steam at the system requirements, the most potato of a PC could play this game. I mean, GTS 5060, 1GB, that's minimum. And then recommended is a 1050. Well, you look at what some people have said comparing the Nintendo Switch to other graphics cards, it's equal to a 1650. So already, the basic Switch that came out over 8 years ago is more powerful than the recommended hardware for a PC. And then the Switch 2, it's a 2050. A mobile 2050 that, but that's still a respectable kind of power card. So it's really got me wondering, what free enhancements are you offering? It feels like such a strange thing to advertise when your highest recommendation hardware is lower than the weakest console you can get your hands on right now. So I don't really get what they're trying to push here with their Switch 2 upgrade. It almost feels like they're trying to gain goodwill by offering us really nothing at all. One thing that we can do though is that we can right now compare Hollow Knight 1 from the Switch 1 to the PS5. So let's take a look at that. Like, see, maybe this will give us an idea of the difference between Silksong's Switch 1 to Switch 2 edition. Okay, so looking like character models are the exact same details on him in the background, same resolution, same frame rate. It's just blue. We're paying, what? Blue? What was this? Made by the guys who did Battlefield 3? Yeah, make everything blue. Man, I have to look into it. Maybe one of the guys at Team Cherry worked on Battlefield 3 for DICE back in like 2011. Woo, Switch 2 edition. More like Switch Blue edition. In the end, my advice to everyone watching this is, don't buy Hollow Knight Silksong at full price. It's not going to be worth your $20. They really are being just as greedy as Nintendo. If you really feel like you need to play this game, it's available on Xbox Game Pass. If you've never subscribed to Game Pass, you can get it for $1. You hear me? If you were really that eager to play Hollow Knight Silksong, get it for $1. Get your Game Pass for a week for $1, and then when you're done playing this game, you have so many other games you can play, like awesome games that are on Game Pass. And better yet, you can cleanse your palate and play a real Metroidvania like Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This is the best Metroidvania game ever made since Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Anyways, this is Don't Touch the Boat, signing off. You guys have a good day.